If you have Medicare Part D, Walgreens can put you at the corner of switching your prescriptions and saving some money. That's because Walgreens makes it easy to switch and save with copays as low as $0 on select Medicare Part D plans. Just bring us your prescriptions and we'll do the rest. Switch to save even more today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Applies to Tier 1 generics for select plans.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Changing Minds Online.
Changing minds one thought at a time.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Changing Minds Online Empowering Women series. Tonight we have a special call for you. I am so excited about tonight's call. You know, we've had a lot of really amazing guests on the show, women just filled with energy, filled with empowerment, but I think tonight's guest is really one of the most powerful and amazing women we've ever had on our show. The person we have on our show tonight is a soul reader, known by her following as J. Ray. She's the four clairs of spirituality: clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognient, and clairsentient. She's in the final stages of her own national television show with the producers of The Fosters. She works with a number of souls every day, including one of our very own women we've had on our show, Lisa DeMeo, who I'm so thankful introduced me to this amazing person. She was born with this extraordinary gift, which evolved into a spirituality healing of the soul. She does soul reading workshops. She's an author and astrologer with Alice Staciones. It is a pleasure and honor to welcome Jennifer Ray Lamas into our call tonight. Welcome, Jennifer. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, girls. I can't wait to talk to you all tonight. I can't wait to get into each and every one of you and find out what are you all about.
Well, absolutely. You know, tonight's topic tonight is how well do you really know yourself? You know, there are so many women who just walk around and they have no really idea who they are. You know, Kina, would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And we talk so much about this show about finding your purpose and really just figuring out who it is that you are. And I think what better way than to really get connected to who you are energetically and spiritually.
Absolutely. I think that right now as we're going into the fifth dimension, everyone is starting to wonder, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Who's my mother? Who's my father? Where did they come from? What is it all about? Why is it that everything I'm doing lately just seems to not work? Why am I trying to fit round pegs into square holes? What am I fighting against? Is there some foreseen force that's just putting me here over and over and over again? And sometimes when you're at that place of where you're just banging your head against that wall, is truly when you find spirituality. That's usually when the soul cracks open and it's crying for attention. It's crying for love. It's crying for peace. And I think a lot of us walk around ignoring it. We just ignore it. Oh, we're just a mother. We're just going through something. Or I'm just a wife. I'm going through something. Or I've been at this job for 10 years. It's a good job. I'm just bored. It's always something. Everybody has an excuse. And those excuses eventually start to run out. And when they run out, they find me. And then I make sense of what they're going through at that particular time in their life. But remember, everything that happens or every action that they have or every problem that they're having in their life or every situation they have in their life usually stems from anything. Sometimes it has to do with a past life situation or it has to do with their present life. Their soul is trying to evolve. It's trying to go somewhere. But a lot of people are driving around in a car with no gas. And then they're trying to fill up on empty promises. They're filling up on other people's gas tanks. They're filling up on other people's stuff, opposed to finding it within themselves. And it's almost like we're the biggest liar to ourselves. We lie to ourselves every single day. Every single day we lie to ourselves. We make ourselves feel less than every single day. It's not about what other people do to us. It's what we allow other people to do to us. So it's a very frustrating time for people. And when they find me, I make sense of it all. You understand? I just make sense of it all. And I just kind of put things into categories and help them and guide them along to the path of where they want to be, which is happiness, joy. They want to be okay with their lives. They want to not feel that way anymore. So usually people have some sort of life trauma, And with the life trauma comes the accompanying addiction. And it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be eating. It could be so many different things. But there has to be that life trauma that usually comes along with it. And a lot of us just want to forget about stuff. We don't want to think about it. We just stuff it down and stuff it down and stuff it down. But eventually we have our earthquakes. And when our earthquakes happen, boy, that's when we're just literally to our knees. And we're looking up and we're going, help me figure it out, guide me, take me wherever I need to go. And that's when true trust and faith begins, at that very moment, because that's when you literally run out of everything, excuses. You just run out of everything, and you just know there's no other way other than up. That's it. It's rock bottom.
Wow. Yes. Now when they find you, when they're at that point, when they've hit that rock bottom, what should they expect when they first come in? Because I know they're going to be nervous and, intimidated or whatever. What should they expect when they come to you?
Well, number one, most of the people that come to me, I would say at least 75%, I'm going to be, especially in females, because I do both males and females. I want to be very, very clear here. I do both males and females. So I want people to know that, yes, it's definitely a female thing, but it's also a male thing. And as we're evolving into the fifth dimension, men are really getting on the board of spirituality. So we'll discuss that in a minute. But I would say 75% of the time it's usually because of a relationship. It's usually a female that cannot get over a relationship. That's at least 75% of the reason why women find me. It's just that alone. They don't have the strength to overcome a bad marriage. They don't have the strength to leave a bad marriage. They don't have the strength to leave a bad relationship, an abusive relationship. They don't have their self-worth. They don't understand it. They don't know why. They keep running back. They keep running back. They keep running back. And what I do is I help them understand themselves better. I help them relate to themselves so they understand why they keep making the same mistake over and over again, why they keep finding the same person in their life over and over again, why they keep attracting the same person over and over again. I talk about the mirror image. I talk about how whatever's in them is in you. They don't want to hear that. You don't want it. The last thing you want to hear is you're a cheater. What do you mean I'm a cheater? I can't be a cheater. He's a cheater. Something in you is attracting him. So what are you doing to yourself? And it could just be that you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself out of happiness. You're cheating yourself out of joy. You're cheating yourself out of many different things. But you are the mirror image of whatever you attract. So you have to really take a hard look. And let me tell you, I tell it like it is. There is no sugarcoating in my world. I can tell you that. I tell it like it is. If you really want to know about him, I want to know about you. Because I'm not trying to heal him. I'm trying to heal you. So sometimes what it is that they want to put it off onto somebody else. I'm not trying to deal with somebody else. I'm trying to deal with you. So what is this about you? And that's the hard part, because when they call me, they want to, it was my mother. Oh, it was my father. Oh, you don't know what happened to me when I was little. Okay, I get all that. Okay, but now we're grown, so what are we doing about it? I don't, this is fine and everything, but okay, where do we go from here? So I don't allow pity parties. And I'm telling you right now, after breakups, like when girls break up with men, they got 7 days to wallow. 7-day pity party. That's about it. Anything past 7 days, it's done for me. Over. Done. Moving on. There's no reason to wallow more than 7 days over anybody, especially when they ain't wallowing over you. Especially when they've already moved on. 7 days.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I think that's really powerful. And, myself, I, shared on this call recently that I recently ended a relationship that wasn't serving me. And so many women come to me as well, and, we all are in the business of helping and coaching and empowering women and men too, and like you said, but this is specifically our women's call. But people come to me and they say all the time that they want to change in their life. But the problem is, like you said, they just don't want to take responsibility for where they are. The power of actually taking responsibility for where your life is that you can change it. See, if you don't take responsibility for what you've created, you can't do anything about it. So if your relationship didn't work, if you blame it on that person, the truth is what you're doing is you're giving that person your power. And I tell women all the time is don't give your power away. I mean, you're too extraordinary. The things that you can do, the things that you're capable of, what you can create and manifest in this world is way too magnificent to give anybody else your power. You deserve to have all that power. And by taking responsibility for yourself, you get that back.
But here we go again. Here we go with conditioning, mindset, the way we were raised. Us females were raised that the man is above you. We put men on pedestals before we even come out of the womb. The men are on the pedestals from the time we're young. Men are put up on pedestals. Our fathers, our brothers, our leaders, our bosses, doctors. Men go right automatically up on a pedestal. Smarter, better, greater, everything. So we're raised to believe that we want to attain that. So if we don't have a man in our life, we automatically feel we're less than. We don't have somebody to put up on a pedestal. Oh, my goodness, must be something wrong with us. So we put somebody up on a pedestal, not even knowing about them, not even knowing anything about these men at all, broken, confused, torn apart themselves. They're broken themselves. But just because they're a man, they automatically get carte blanche of our heart, our soul, our mind, our bodies, everything. They get carte blanche immediately just because they're a man. Well, why don't we get carte blanche for just being a woman? I don't realize, that's the frustrating part. And then it's the power behind it all. And then them knowing that they have this power. Men walk into this world knowing they have this power, okay? And what happens is that it becomes a very uneven. It's not balanced by any means. And that's why the divine feminine is coming out the way that it's coming out. Now, do I think that we took it to the extreme? Do I think that we can be a lot more balanced between male and female right now? Absolutely. I think we lost our men. I think we lost our men. Their men are gone. They are boys. Nobody is growing at all as far as that side of the world. But as far as females are, we started to take the role of the man. So therefore, we don't have men to even look up. We don't have anything. So we're losing ourselves. We've all lost ourselves. Each and every one of us have lost ourselves, both genders. Men don't know what women look like no more. Women don't know what men look like no more. We don't know who we're supposed to love, who we're supposed to like, what's supposed to be, who takes the role, who wears the pants, where everything is supposed to be. Nobody has any idea. So we're more confused than we ever were before. So it's even harder now to be in a normal one-on-one monogamous loving relationship. It's almost just about impossible right now because we're dealing with broken men, broken women, women that don't come from a household of two people. Men don't come from a household of two people as well. We're coming from single mothers. Daughters are just as affected by single mothers as men are. But nobody talks about that because us as females, we're supposed to be accepting of it all. Well, not so much, because we have to learn about ourselves in order to help others. And if we're lost in that whole confounds of we're women, we're supposed to be nurturing and loving and understanding, and no matter what, we take in and we just handle it all and don't worry about what they think or what men do to us. It's okay. If we have that mentality, then none of us are growing. None of us are growing. And then where do we all end up? Alone, correct? Alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where we end up.
But you know what I love is what you said is that, when we find out about ourselves, and that's when we can really make that change. And that's why we talked about tonight is how well do you really know yourself. And like you said, the first step is just getting to figure out who you are, getting to figure out what your purpose is. We talk all the time on the show about really getting connected to what your purpose is. What are you standing for? Who do you stand for? What are you creating in this world? And when you find that vision and you live into that vision, you begin to attract the people, the resources that you need to create that vision, and you start to attract those partners into your life. So what advice could you give the people on the show about attracting those partners that fit them, that help them be who they are without sacrificing their identity?
Boundaries. Huge word. Huge word, and people don't take it seriously. Boundaries. There are boundaries. I'm not going to allow you to speak to me a certain way. That's a boundary, right? Talk. I'm not going to allow you to use wrong tongue on me. That's not going to happen. Boundaries are allowing yourself to, not to be engaged in any type of crazy nonsense or any type of three-way relationships or anything like boundaries. Boundaries. It's all about the boundaries. And if you're not putting up boundaries, then they're going to walk around any which way they want to, and you're never really going to understand who you are because they don't even know who you are. So it's about you knowing what you want and what you desire and what you want to bring to yourself. So, for instance, if you know that you want a loving one-on-one monogamous relationship, you are going to be a one-on-one monogamous person. But if you're expecting a monogamous man in your life and you still have your boyfriend over to the left that you haven't gotten over and you got him in the wings somewhere, how do you expect him not to have the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really where it comes. I always see, and actually this comes from Susan Sly, who's I've taken her courses. I love her. And she always says you teach people how to treat you.
And I think that's Absolutely. So true. In relationships, you really do. You set the example. And what's not really we don't want to look past is that the way we treat ourselves, we're going to attract people who treat us the same way. Like you said earlier, if you attract someone who cheats on you, you're probably cheating on yourself. If you attract people who are men or women who don't respect you, because we don't want to assume that everyone on this call, right, who's a woman is looking for a male partner.
Of course.
But if you're attracting a relationship of someone who disrespects you, then look in the mirror, because there's probably something about yourself that you're not respecting. And when you change who you are and how you view yourself, you're going to really change your attraction factor. I look into the mirror every day, and I use I am statements, and I really create that image of myself, and I create how the world sees me by really choosing. And again, I want to say choosing, because it's a choice. How do I see myself? And when I pick how I see myself, I really get to pick how the world sees me.
Well, to start to get to know yourself, I'm going to say this. This is the exercise that I do with most of my clients, okay? The first thing, and I think I would do this with you, Jessica, correct, on the phone that night? I usually say the first place you go to of love. Where's the first place you go to in your third eye of love? Who do you see? What do you see? What image do you see? First place of love. First memory you have of real love. Love. Where is it? What is it?
For me, it would be with my grandmother.
There you go. Second thing is, first place that you go to of no love, abandonment. What's the first place you go to?
For me, it would probably be initially my father, and we have a great relationship now, but that's probably the first.
That would be the first place you would go to in your mind. 3 positive adjectives you would say to describe it yourself immediately, off the top of your head, and I'm telling you, I'm like 3 seconds. First one, let's go.
Loving, joyful, and abundant.
Okay. But that doesn't describe you. What that does is tell you what you want. I want to know about you. I want 3 adjectives of what you think about yourself. 3 adjectives.
Wow. So this is a tough one for me. Those are actually the adjectives I describe myself as. Those are actually usually the adjectives I describe myself as. I describe myself as loving. I describe myself as joyful, and I describe myself as abundant. Those are usually the
But that's usually what you
that I associate
You're
with myself.
trying to attain that. Yeah, that's something you're trying to attain. I want to know about Jessica. What does Jessica think about Jessica? 3 adjectives to describe Jessica.
I believe that I'm a giving person, that I am a motivated person, that I'm an intelligent woman. These are the These are usually the things that I describe myself. Akina, what do you think about this one? I think we're going to throw some of the heat on Akina.
Yeah, go ahead, Akina. 3 words to describe yourself.
Intelligent, motivated, and hardworking.
Both you girls, because I listen to what people don't say. None of one of you described your physical attributes. Not one of you. You were too afraid to go into ego. Immediately, you shamed away from anything that had to do with pretty, kind, loving, sexy, adorable. You didn't use any of those. Nothing.
Well, loving was the first one that I said now, to be fair.
Oh, you know
but
what
I wasn't
I'm saying.
talking about my physical
you understand what I mean.
So I do see what you're saying.
You completely negated that. Absolutely.
No, I'd like how you brought up about ego, because I tend to do my best to live outside of my ego and to really surrender my ego. Actually, in the year 2015, I made some pretty big declarations about getting out of my ego, about getting out of my head, starting to be in my heart. So it's interesting you'd bring up actually going to your ego. Is there a time when you would want to go to your ego?
Yes, that's a healthy ego. A healthy ego is loving yourself and seeing all the great, wonderful things about yourself. So if I was to look in the mirror, I would say, well, I got nice teeth. I have dark hair. I have green eyes. I'm, a good person. I'm a mother. There's so many different things, but 3 adjectives. When I say adjectives, I want a description of you. I want a description of how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. That's what I want to see. I want to hear what you have to say, what you think of yourself. Now I'll say, what are 3 adjectives that you would like to say about your soul and how you attain your soul? So so it keeps going and keeps going. But it's amazing how when I do ask women, and most of the time they negate away from anything that has to do with beauty, physical looks or anything like that, because we were taught for so long that we should never be happy with our looks, that we should always strive to be better looking or different looking. Listen, I've always been overweight, and it's at the end of the day, it's not going to be my case anymore. But I am. But at the same time, I've always been very confident. No, not one of you used the word confident. I'm just saying, this is not scolding. This is just Spirituality 101. This is how I work with my clients, okay? Not one of you said confident. Intelligent, but not confident. So I'm hearing about words that you're not saying, almost like you're afraid to say certain things or certain words about yourself, because if you're not feeling that way about yourself, then no one else will. I guess that's where I'm going with this. If you're trying to find out about yourself, you do that exercise every single morning and every single night before you go to bed. And all my clients know this. 3 words in the morning, 3 words every night before you go to bed. When I hear about the words, and I do the word thing with everybody, I want to know what happened during the day to change your energy. I want to know what shifted that day. Who did you talk to? What happened? Did something happen at work? Did something happen here? And I get to know the soul, and I understand what the soul is trying to do, how the soul likes to mask things, how the soul likes to put things away and doesn't want to talk about it, how the soul tends to cover it up or doesn't want to, address certain things, how some people like to avoid certain situations. Everybody does not like to have hard conversations. That's probably one of the hardest things for us humans to have, is to have hard conversations. So I want to see and I want to understand where you guys are going, each one of you at that particular time, why you're not attaining, why you're not getting to the place that you need to get to. And that would be the basis of how to get to know yourself, right there, that mark, that's the first step.
Okay,
and really
so now we've got
doing the work. You have to do the work. You really do. It's hard work. It's not easy. We don't like to know about ourselves. It's probably, I said, we're the biggest liar to ourselves. The last thing we want to do is learn about ourselves, because if we really have to see ourselves for who we are, that's a day. That's a day that requires probably alcohol and your best friend sitting next to you with a box of tissues. It's not a good day. Just letting you know.
So now that we found out the first step, finding out who we really are, so what would be the next step?
The next step after that is what we would do is I would get you to come out of your comfort zone immediately. And I would know what that is, just by right now. Like, for instance, like I'm talking to you, Akina, like as I'm talking to you right now, I'm being shown a very rigorous household. I'm being shown everything gets done by the book. Everything does get done the correct way. Nothing's out of order. Everything's in place. And I get somebody who would never be out of line with anyone. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense.
Okay. Now, for you, it would be, my comfort zone for you would probably be to get you to be an initiator. Initiator of conversation, initiator of work projects, an initiator to do things, make the phone calls, and be the initiator, something you're completely uncomfortable with. Completely uncomfortable with. You're all about letting people come to you. I'd just rather they come to me. It just makes it easier. It's just easier for you that way. But easy is not working anymore. So what we have to figure out is how to get you out of your comfort zone, how to get you to be more the initiator, how to get outside your box a little bit and say, okay, I get this was what used to work for me and this is how I was raised, but this is not working for me for where I want to go in my life. So I have to change it up a little bit. And then comes the guilt. Then comes the guilt, Akina, for you. And then comes the shame. And then comes all these other things because you feel like you're betraying maybe your family, your mom, your grandmother, somebody. You feel like you're betraying them. You feel like you're not doing right by them. And then you stop yourself. So fear gets in the way. And then all of a sudden, everything stops. Everything. And then eventually, you find yourself questioning. A year will go by, 2 years will go by, and then you wonder, okay, why didn't I just do that? It wasn't that big of a deal. You have these conversations with yourself. And then you realize, okay, well, this year I'm going to do it. And I think you have made strides, because they're telling me, they just said it to me, she has made strides. She has gone out of somewhat of her comfort zone. Like this right now is not in your comfort zone. Having this conversation with you right now on air is not in your comfort zone at all, but you're doing it. Do you understand?
Oh, yes. I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yes. So this is what I would say about you and what I would probably work on you immediately about. Immediately. Like that would be one thing I would do with you. With Jessica, I would have to get her out of her own way immediately, because Jessica can sometimes go right ahead of the game. She almost wants to pass go. She wants in. It's almost like, boom, I want in. Like, whatever I got to do, I'm going in. But not realizing that there's certain steps that you need to take to get there. And you can't miss those steps. You just can't, because you're going to get sent back to go. You're going to get sent back to jail. You're going to get sent back to wherever you came from and do it all over again. So you can't miss any steps. You just can't. It's like the dance of life.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like us for sure. I'm that person who just says, I want to go to $1 million, and Akeem's that person that asks how. That certainly describes our relationship for sure.
Yeah, so that's why I think you guys are a balance. But look at it. That's the balance. She's the go-getter. She's the one who forges through. You sit back. You take in all the information. You take in everything. You're very, like I said, you put everything into place. You make everything happen. You did the flyer. You have your place. Don't get me wrong. But every now and then you'd like to be in her place. Every now and then you would like to have as much guts and gumption that she has. You get what I mean? And that's the balance. And if we're all one way all the time, that's boring, and that's where we lose our joy. But every now and then we get out of our comfort zone. That's our balance. That's just our balance, and we have to be balanced at all times. And remember, in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, does anybody know what that is? Akina, do you know what the Maslow's hierarchy of needs are?
I've heard of them, but I don't know the order.
Okay, if you can pull it up on your computer, if you have the computer in front of you, or Jessica, if you want to pull it up, this is something else that I go by when I work with my clients very closely about how to find out about themselves. I want to know who's filling your boxes. I want to know how many people are filling your boxes. I want to know if it's one person, 2 people, 3 people. I want to understand how you fill your boxes. I want to know what your perception of filling your boxes is. I want to know why you feel the need for certain people to fill certain boxes. And maybe you need to rearrange and change it around a little bit. So I definitely use the Maslow's hierarchy of needs because I really feel that it's a great tool to kind of figure things out. And when people see that, and they see that triangle, and they see those boxes, they go, wow, I have all these boxes that are not being filled. No wonder why I feel so depleted. No wonder why I'm feeling empty. I'm stealing from all these different boxes, and nothing is getting done. Another great tool that I use to really find out the DNA about your soul is astrology. I think astrology is a wonderful thing. I use Alice Stacionis, which is a great author, who teaches us about the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon, who's a wonderful person that gives me the scientific DNA of who you are, mixed with the spirituality of someone like myself who can foresee things and understand it and understand the soul's path, put it together, and boy, we got a rocking thing going. We can definitely take you where you need to be, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I have.
Yeah.
And I have.
This all sounds amazing, and I love to explore these different spiritual things, and I firmly believe that the more and more humanity evolves, the more we're going to find out and figure out about ourselves, about this world, our relationship with this world. I firmly believe we live in a world that's dynamic, that's expansive, that's vibrational, and that is just a powerful place for us to create. We only have a few minutes left in our call, and I know especially you and I, right, that Latin background, we can sit and talk for hours.
Yeah.
But if we, to kind of hone this in and bring this down, and if we had some parting words, some parting thoughts to leave people with tonight on how to get to know themselves. I know self-awareness or self-actualization is on top of that pyramid. I do have a little bit of a background in psychology. But so how would we get someone to that place where their needs are being met and they're ready to take on the world because they're aware of who they are? And that brings us right back to the name of our show tonight. How well do you really know yourself? That top of Maslow's pyramid, that self-actualization. How do we bring someone to that spot?
I would tell them the first thing I would do is I would ask them, where do you find your joy? For 3 questions. Where do you find your joy? Where do you find your happiness? Where are you finding your love? Where are you finding your peace? I would ask those questions to myself, and I would have names and faces to each of those questions. And if those names and faces make your stomach hurt, they probably have outlived their usefulness. And it's time to move on, and it's time to replace them, or it's time to let someone go or something go that's no longer serving your needs. And really understanding about serving the purpose. People come into our lives, Jessica, for reasons and seasons. Some of us for lifetimes. Very rarely does a lifetimer stick around, but mostly for reasons and seasons. And we have to be okay with that. If we start becoming more okay with people coming in our lives for reasons and seasons and for a purpose, and seeing it and understanding it and then letting it go, we would be the happiest bunch of individuals, but instead we become very resentful. We become hateful. We become mad because we want to hold something that doesn't belong to us anymore. And if we really start to understand that nothing ever really belonged to us, ever. They were just there for the moment to teach us something so that we can grow and then move on to the next thing. And if we're more amped to grow and we really want to grow, we have to be accepting of that. We're really going to have to start being accepting of that and accepting the responsibility of what we're doing to not letting things go. We really have to be accepting of that. What is so hard about letting go? Where is it all stemming from? What is it all about? So it's really about having those moments with yourself, really quieting your mind and allowing your mind to go to places it just hasn't wanted to go to in a very long time. Because let me tell you, perception truly is your reality. And if your reality in your life is not good, it's time to change. It's just time to change.
Yeah, well,
if you don't do it,
thank you so much.
Your universe will come in and do it for you, Jessica, just so you know that. And if the universe comes in and does it for you, you have absolutely no control at all. And that's a bad day.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting. One of the prayers I pray every night before bed is I believe in God. I say, God, bring me to my knees either way. And I always say, Lord, if I can't get there myself, then bring me there. And it's really about me just knowing that I want to just always be the best version of myself. I always want to create amazing things. I always want to be on my best path. And I always say, it is better to get there yourself. It's better to be in your purpose because either way, you will get knocked down. So like you said, get out of your own way, create the change in your life, be that change that you want to see in the world, like, that famous quote. And just go do it because you're powerful. You can get to know yourself, be in those moments of quiet, and that's going to energize you to really just create something beautiful. But thank you so much for being on our call tonight. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, and definitely ask those questions. Where do I find my joy? Where do I find my peace? Where do I see my love? Where do I see myself? You have to ask yourself those questions. And it's where your mind first goes to.
Yeah, absolutely. Go back to our show, What's Your Purpose? We teach on that same topic. It's really a very powerful tool. But thank you so much for being on the show. It was such a pleasure to have you and an honor to be able to have you. I mean, I wish we had more time to talk, but it's right at 9:30 Eastern Time. We always end our calls right on time. We pride ourselves on making our calls exactly 30 minutes. But it was a pleasure, and maybe we can have you again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. And it was great talking to you girls.
Absolutely. We always tell our listeners, we love you. God bless. Have a great evening. Akina, is there anything you want to add before we close off?
Yes. If you enjoyed Jennifer's show tonight, please find us on iTunes, Podomatic. We're also on SoundCloud. And, of course, you can always come to changingmindsonline.com.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you having me. And I know that everyone right now is really craving spirituality, and I know that eventually everyone's going to find their way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. It's just been really helpful, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, honey. Take care. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.